Welcome to Next Play.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Next Play. We got special guest, Coach Otzelburger, with us. I was going to call you Coach O because I figured I would botch your last name, but yeah, Coach O, I'm going to call you from here because I know I'm going to mess it up.
You did it good.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to be on and look forward to visit with you guys.
Great. Well, this is a part you're gonna hate because I know a little bit about you. You happen to be good friends with my brother and one of my dad's favorite people. So both of them said you won't like the part where I go over your accolades, but for all our listeners out there, they need to know, they don't already know, you're not watching college basketball. But so Coach O here, in 9 seasons as a head coach, TJ has led teams to 6 NCAA tournament appearances. In your first year at Iowa State, you accomplished the nation's largest turnaround from the prior season. Congrats to that, by the way. That was really badass. In your 4 years, you led the Cyclones. You have the most AP top 25 victories, AP top 10 victories, and NCAA tournament wins in school history. Feels like we should have sound effects, Owen. We should be like, things that should go off. You have the best overall and conference winning percentage in school history. And you are the first coach in program history to take a team to the NCAA tournament every year in your 4 years of coaching. You are also the first and only coach in school history to take a team to multiple Sweet 16s in 22 and 24, and the finalist for the 24 Warner Ladder. How do I say that? What award is this, TJ?
For the National Coach of the Year.
Oh, there it is. It was going to make you say it, National Coach of the Year. So congratulations. And again, happy to have you on here. So I'll let Owen, now that I made you uncomfortable and had all our listeners hear why we have you on. We want to do, on because we haven't had a coach's viewpoint. We're used to having professional Olympic athletes talk about the mental side of the game. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to give the coach's lens to this.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll dive in. We love talking about the mental toughness stuff. Do you think mental toughness can be taught, or is it something that you have or don't have?
I think mental toughness absolutely can be taught. And for me, how I would define mental toughness is, first of all, doing the right thing at the right time when something is called upon. I think a lot of times in our sport, there'll be, oh, my bad, or, I'll get it next time. And that's great. But the mental toughness is to perform the task at hand, when it's required. And that's so important. And so we view mental toughness in our program. We work really hard to develop these daily habits and work habits. And mental toughness really comes down, what does it take to break you? What does it take for you to lose focus? What does it take for you to, maybe you're sick, you're tired, you're hurt, you're sore. Maybe you missed the layup on the last play. Official called a foul you didn't agree with. What does it take to break you? And what we work really hard to do and establish in our program every day is to build, to instill, to discuss how we continue to build that, because ultimately the task at hand for us over a lengthy season that oftentimes lasts 6 months in terms of games and preparation is you have to have competitive endurance. But to get the competitive endurance, you have to have the mental toughness to take care of the task at hand. And I think in team sports especially, that's how you earn and build trust with your teammates, is showing your proficiency to be on time, to be accountable, and to do the things when the task at hand calls for it.
Great answer. Oh, and don't you have a follow-up? Aren't you curious about one of his players, he said?
Yeah, no, I was just curious, do you ever have freshmen come in and it's all right, they maybe aren't so mentally tough, you know what I mean? And is there any specific player, that you could think of, all right, they left this place and they grew exponentially, that kid's tough as nails now?
Yeah. So to me, a job as a coach is to meet the student athletes or the young person at the place that they're at. We try to be very mindful and intentional of evaluations and recruiting, the people that surround young people, their support network, whether it's a coach, a trainer, anybody that's in their support network. We want to evaluate that support network because we understand that when things become challenging, those are going to be the people they call upon. And for us, what we've seen work better is when we have that communication, the synergy, the shared vision, and we talk about this is what we will do and this is how we will forge forward. And so in our program, we've had many guys that have gone on, played professionally in the NBA and those sort of things. But the player that stands out the most to me over time is a young man that's named George Niang. He's from Methuen, Massachusetts, and he's going into his 10th season as an NBA player. And George is somebody that I'm really close with, started recruiting him as a sophomore in high school. So as he was, 15 and a half, 16 years old. And what you saw with George was a tremendous amount of low ego, self-awareness, and terrific work habits. And so because he had a low ego, he was self-aware, and he had great work habits, he was continually elevating himself in his mental game. And he's a guy, there's oftentimes people in the NBA will show he's always on winning teams. Somehow, even though he's not the best player, and even though he's might not even be a starter, he's always a guy that when he comes into the game, he makes the team win because he knows what that team needs, what the others around him do well, and he uses information to his advantage better than anybody I've ever been around. So it's the preparation, it's the work habits and capacity, it's the conditioning. So you're in elite mental condition, and then it's taking all that information and utilizing it to your benefit. And George has been able to have a masterful NBA career, and somebody that I've enjoyed continuing to watch. Now he's with the Utah Jazz. He'll always be successful. He was highly successful here because he uses the mental game to his advantage.
I love that. Speaking of winning teams, I don't know if you noticed my hat that I'm wearing here. I mean, this is this Next Play podcast. We have a Packer fan and a Bears fan. I'm assuming you're a Packer fan.
Yeah, I would trend that direction. I wouldn't say
Okay.
like I'm the most diehard fan, but I'm not a traitor either. I'm from Milwaukee and grew up in
All right.
Wisconsin, so we've got a loyalty and allegiance.
Okay, good. So yes, coming from Milwaukee, and you played yourself in college. So did you have any sort of understanding of mental toughness at a young age? I feel, generations, you're younger than me, but it wasn't talked about the same way. So, when you played, what was your understanding, and have you used that to kind of define the type of coach you are today?
I was fortunate when I was younger, that the work habits and the commitment, love for basketball, I definitely had that. I'm very self-aware, and no, I wasn't a great player, but the investment that I would make in my game and being on the court and in the weight room and doing the things you need to do, I was strong in those areas. However, my
Okay.
confidence was an area that I struggled with at times. Wasn't sure I wasn't good enough. I'm not the tallest. I'm not the best shooter. I'm not. There's certain things that I was aware that I could have been better at. And so what happens is over time, through success and failure, which I think is so great. I think now so many times people talk about failure or falling short as a negative. And I look at my life and my experiences and think every time something was not to go my way, it was a great opportunity to dig deep, find that character, lift yourself up, roll your sleeves up, and get back to work. And I was fortunate because of my parents and the foundation that I had with so many great leaders, mentors in my family, that those work habits were ingrained. And so what it taught me over time is, the mental game so often comes down to the commitment to your habits, the focus on those habits,
Yeah.
and then that removes the anxiety of the game or the moment or the distractions or the things that can get in the way of you performing to the level that you want. And so I recall an opportunity in college with my coach, Dave Vandermillen at Whitewater, where he said this to me, and it made all the sense in the world and really helped me. Probably one of the most sound pieces of advice I've ever received. And he'd see me in the gym working all the time, right? Ball handling, and he'd say, I don't know when you dribble two basketballs in the game. That looks pointless to me. And then I'd be doing some shooting drill, and he'd be like, I never see you shoot that shot in the game. Why are you shooting it in practice? And so he had this very practical, direct, straightforward, but if you know him, it was loving in his way. And what he said to me one day was that when you realize that it's not about your performance, it's about you leaning into your teammates so that they can play better, and about you looking at the opponent to make them play worse. And I really thought about it and tried to build it. How does that affect my mental game? How's that going to make me play better? I started to gain a great sense of confidence in celebrating my teammates and their successes. So even though I wasn't the one that was a great scorer, taking pride in a great pass that was on time and on target, getting assist, building confidence through doing simple, doable things over and over and over and over. And like so many times, young people use this. Well, I want a coach that's confident in me. I want to be confident. I want to feel confident, but that's something that you earn.
Yeah,
That's something that you earn through your work, through your experience. And so for me, that was a very defining moment because Coach Vandermillen, when I looked at it through that lens, how do I make everyone on my team play better? And then what can I do to make the other team play worse? And now you focus on that rather than how many points do I have? How many minutes am I playing? The things that ultimately are outside your locus of control. So to me, that helps build your mental toughness and fortitude by focusing on controllables, doable things that you have within your realm.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, great answer. Love that.
Yeah, it's kind of been interesting having different guests on. Like, some do use the mindset stuff. Like we talk about visualization, breath work, all that type of stuff. Is your team a team that incorporates that stuff, maybe in the pregame rituals, practice, like visualization, breath work, all those types of tools?
We talked to our team, and this is where, to me, like we're not positive coaches, we're not negative coaches, we're honest, loving, caring coaches. And when you're going to be honest, there's also a part of when you do visualization, understanding in a basketball game, the game is continuous. There's going to be many things that don't go your way. You're going to miss a shot. You're going to have a turnover. You're not going to sprint back and communicate appropriately in transition. The other team's going to make a shot. The official's going to call something that you don't agree with. And so to me, visualization starts with our team, and we do talk about it a
Yep.
lot about being realistic, being where your feet are and understanding what's actually going to happen. Because the people that go into it and say, I'm going to visualize I make every single shot, like I just don't think that's realistic. I don't think you're preparing your mind visualization from a visualization standpoint for what's actually coming in the game. So visualize missing a layup, visualize getting your shot
Yep.
blocked, visualize having a turnover. We preach so much about it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. So the greatest quality or attribute a young person could have in our program is to be really good at making mistakes. And that sounds crazy to say, but it's really getting to that next thing. So same thing true for visualization. We want them to understand that. When it comes down to breath work, we talk a lot about, even in game, about our guys when the horn blows and you can go to your bench, sprinting and getting to the bench so you can get control of your breath, finding those times during the game where you can get control of it. Like certainly when there's a foul and it goes to the free throw line, you might have a period of time there where you can do it. There's also situations where you can you can find breaks in action, but ultimately getting to the bench quickly is going to be really important so you can get back in control of your breath.
Well, you're known for recruiting, right? That's one of the things, defense and recruiting. Owen did a little digging around a prior team. Owen, did you
Yeah,
want to ask?
I was going to ask
Nobody.
about that. Yeah. So what's up with the posse?
Yeah, so when I was younger, there was a few AAU teams in the Milwaukee area, and ultimately, I made this decision after my freshman year of high school that I wanted to play basketball year round. Which, growing up, I'd wrestled, I'd played football, I'd played baseball, and there was something about basketball for me that you could always work on your game. As I was kind of evolving and growing and just dealing with life stuff and puberty and maturation, the thing I loved about basketball is you could just kind of get lost with a ball and a goal and work on it and kind of be in your zone. And that is something that really mattered to me. So I wanted to play year round. Felt like there's a attraction to this game far more than the others. And I tried out for the couple AAU teams in the Milwaukee area at the time, and essentially was told I wasn't good enough to play on them, which I would have agreed with, right? There's countless opportunities, right? There might be 50 teams from Milwaukee, and at that time there were just a couple. And so it was a gut punch for me. And so when that happened, I said, wow, well, I guess I'm not going to play year round. And then I wouldn't let myself go to that place. I said, you know what? I could start my own team. I can put a team together. There's other guys that I know that are good that I'm friends with that didn't make one of these other two teams. There shouldn't, there should be more opportunities. So literally, as a 15, 16-year-old, I was securing the gym at St. Mary's Academy right behind
Oh
Thomas More High
gosh.
School for practice.
Yeah.
We actually had put a program together where we sold ad space to raise money to pay for tournament entry fees and uniforms. And I was going to practices, YMCA's, playgrounds, high school games, and recruiting at that point guys to be on our AAU basketball team. And so our first year we weren't very good. Each year we progressed, and it was a huge pride point for me because following our senior year, myself and one of my best friends to this day, a guy, Michael Hughes, we played together at Whitewater,
Mhm.
were the two guys of the 10 on the team that didn't get a Division I scholarship to play basketball, right? The other 8 all did. And at that time, there was a state AAU tournament, which we were fortunate to win, and our team went to New Orleans. So amazing life experience and opportunity. I was fortunate to get cut from both teams. Like I said, for me, my experience has always been when things don't go well, opportunities right around the corner, right? Don't drop your head, don't pout, don't slouch your shoulders, don't get victim mentality, get right to the next thing. And it's been so true. And I've been so fortunate to do that. And so that posse experience is one, it comes up at time to time on a telecast. It is something I'm really proud of because a
That's
lot of those
cool.
guys followed their journeys in college and stay in communication with. But ultimately, it was a great life lesson I was fortunate to learn through that experience.
One of our pillars, TJ, is feedback loop. So how an athlete talks to themselves. And you obviously just had that natural intuition at a young age where I'm hearing, failure, and it wasn't quit. It wasn't blame somebody else. It's what can I do about it? And I've heard you say a couple times now, staying within what you can control. Have you had, I'm sure you have, moments where you yourself in high pressure situations have had to manage emotional sort of dysregulation? What does that look like? Whipping up, you know,
Yeah, I'd say I'm a huge believer in daily habits, intentionality, your time
yeah.
and your schedule, right? How you do anything is how you do everything, and the preparation you put into it should prepare you for those moments. So whether we use, the pressure, the emotion, whatever things can take over in that situation, I've certainly through the years made plenty of mistakes, like as an athlete, as an assistant coach coming up, as a head coach. And my first season at South Dakota State, I was very insecure. The first opportunity you get, I'm going to my 10th season. And in year one, you feel like this overwhelming sense of I have something to prove. So you teach every drill, you talk all the time, you don't empower your assistant coaches enough. And that creates one dynamic because the investment isn't there as much by the others on the staff. The second thing I did poorly is that I talk to our guys all the time about everything has to look like winning. For it to be winning, it has to look like winning. We have to clean that up. And so I took over a program that had been successful prior to me being there. But when we would get in these tough games early in the year, I could see my reactions on the sideline. Now, we preach with our team all the time. We don't react. We don't pout. We don't do the palms up. We don't look at the officials. And we work on that every single day. It's really important because we're trying to build men even more than we're trying to win basketball games. We're trying to build men that can be husbands, fathers, community leaders, business owners, doctors, lawyers, you name it, right? And to do those things are really hard. So you have to be great at doing hard things. And for me, it was very self-reflective because we started, I don't know if it was 1-6 or 1-7 that season, and we had a good team. We ended up in the NCAA tournament, but I watched myself on the sidelines. And when I'm watching film and I'm seeing, me doing a traveling call or me reacting to an official's call or me pacing, right? And even subtle things that you don't realize because like when a
Yeah.
player
Yeah.
has a turnover and you put your hands on your head, or a guy takes a shot that you wish he didn't take, and you're like, oh, and so you have all these reactions. And so it was really like a check yourself moment for me because what I was trying to instill and develop from our players, I wasn't carrying out myself. And I'm a firm believer that the best form of leadership is example. Like people watch your actions far more than they listen to your words. And I was falling short in that area. And literally, it was just prior to Christmas. I came in and told our team, I said, look, guys, I've let you down. We've underachieved, and it's my fault. I'm not carrying out the leadership and the demands that I'm placing on you. I'm not living out. So I'm a poor example for you, but you know what? I realize it. I can admit it. I'm going to be authentic and transparent about this is what it is. And I'm also going to tell you these are the changes, and nobody's more accountable in this program than me. I think we use that term accountability all the time. And I feel like I'm the most accountable person in our program every single day. I was put in position to lead the program, which means accountability of who I am as a person, husband, father, mentor, leader. I have to be on every time. So that experience
Yeah.
at South Dakota State really taught me, that in those moments, you have to practice for it too. This is going to probably sound funny, but like for some people, when you do a speech, first time you do a speech in middle school or high school, people will say, well, do it in front of the mirror and practice this and practice your, all those things. Well,
Yeah.
I do think there's that same attribute when you're coaching a game. You are essentially giving a speech to an audience. There's an audience of your team. There's an audience of a crowd. There's an audience on ESPN or CBS or whatever TV network you're on. And so I feel like, why would you not practice to be really good in that environment? So it's something that I tried to put intent and work behind. It doesn't mean that internally at times your stomach's not churning or it doesn't drop or those things, but we place so much value in our program on not reacting to negative things. We have a board on our wall. We will not react when things don't go our way. Okay, we'll only have positive reactions, or we'll have we'll take a mental positive reaction to that next play. So I think for all of us, self-awareness is valuable. Checking yourself, being able to be vulnerable and transparent. Just, hey, this is where I'm falling short. This is the change I'm going to make. Let's move forward.
Love it. Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, other than the tight polo